What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Oh yeah, so we're gonna get into training, okay? Training is obviously a huge variable in making gains. Training is the catalyst for everything. Training is the stimulus that breaks down your muscle tissue so you can grow back bigger and stronger. And obviously the main component to muscle growth is going to be progressive overload. Progressive overload is when you, over time, build up either reps and or weight to increase basically your muscles overload, your muscles output. And that's what helps put on muscle. Obviously, there's other things involved, nutrition, which plays into how much you'll be able to overload your performance and things like that. However, progressive overload is the key. There are different periods where people are considered either beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And to get into what I recommend for each of those, please bear with me while I define my opinion on what is beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Beginner, intermediate, and advanced can also alter and vary. Obviously, Phil Heath, with 2 years of bodybuilding training under his belt, was an advanced trainer. Fuck, he won junior nationals, okay? The guy was a pro. He's a genetic elite. I'm gonna talk about the people who comprise the average, who comprise the majority, who aren't an outlier. Obviously, some people can go from beginner to advanced by skipping intermediate. But for most people, including myself, here's what I recommend. Beginner would be 0 to 2 years of training, I would say. A beginner and intermediate have a lot in common. A beginner should focus on their core lifts. For me, it's a little different than most. I don't always recommend back squats for everybody. I recommend a squat variation, be it a front squat, a goblet squat, or something of that nature to build that core strength. Another exercise I recommend, must have for beginners, is a deadlift variation, either wall facing deadlifts, which you see on this channel a lot, or deadlifts. Now for those, I recommend hiring someone or perfecting your form on your own, because any compound movement requires more muscles, more stabilizers, thus more of a chance of snapping your shit up. Okay? And for upper body, there are 2 movements that beginners must do. One is the standing overhead press for shoulders, activating core and everything in between. And 2, I'm gonna say a variation of the bench press. If you do flat bench or any kind of press, realize you wanna keep your elbows in to protect your shoulder girdle and all of that. Now for beginners, I recommend between 3 and 6 days of training. Normally for beginners, I like a 3-day full body split. For beginners. That gets me involved in things. However, that can be changed pretty fast, pretty immediate. Whereas I could see a beginner after a month of doing full body training move to more of a body part split, an upper lower split, or a push pull leg split. The beginner can vary. Intermediate, same thing as beginner, except I don't see a reason unless you enjoy it and you get better results from it and you believe in the science behind it. The full body workouts, I don't feel you could put enough attention on the muscle. I like fucking pounding a muscle. It's where I've seen the best results. It's where I've seen the best results in my clients. I get the science, I get that. But as a coach, I have to look at science and I have to look at experience. And my experience shows me that I've never, ever seen optimal results with full body training. However, upper lower splits I like. I also like push-pull leg splits. I like those. I do. Kind of like the Ronnie Coleman where he did everything twice a week. That's a lot for most people, but some people have genetic above average recovery abilities and can't sustain that kind of trauma to their muscles. For beginners and intermediates, I recommend going in with a set plan, at least for your first 2 workouts. Now, that means that your first exercise, should be progressive overload or near your first exercise. For example, if you're doing legs, I think squats or a squat variation, you should aim to increase linearly on every workout. Now, obviously that takes into effect Sean likes 6 to 7 weeks, so man, Sean Torbody. I like around 10 to 12 weeks, every 10 to 12 weeks, take a deload. A deload is where, and that's a whole nother video, which I think I've done before. You cut your weight by about half and you get reps to where you're not going to complete failure. You're still doing the workout, yet you're not taxing your nervous system. It's pretty much a form of active recovery. Okay, so for beginners, you're going to want to improve your weights and periodize. We have different rep schemes, different set schemes. For intermediates as well, I recommend using a planned progression program for at least the first exercise. Now, obviously, we did what we did for squats. Do the same for overhead shoulder press. Say you did 135 for 6 next week. The next week, aim to do 135 for 8 or aim to do whatever. And you're going to progressively get that. And there are charts online to help you with progressively overloading the muscle. Okay. That's something that we will work on. And I also put down the bench 1 rep max calculator down below. I'm going to link that. So you can go ahead and check that out as well. That'll help you, help you look at different ways to formulate a program utilizing that. Advanced trainers are a bit different. When you're advanced, you've pretty much made it where you've never hit your genetic peak. Your genetic peak is always changing. Fuck, Dexter Jackson, steroids. The guy's still making gains into his 40s, okay? I don't believe in genetic peaks. I believe there's a time, like around 39, 40, 41, 42, where shit starts going like this, but you're going to be at your genetic peak for your age, and you want to still aim to make gains. However, for an advanced lifter, that's where you go by feel. An advanced lifter should know what they need. A lot of advanced lifters still aim for progressively overloading, as I do. But for an advanced lifter, if you go into the gym and you want to do 20 sets of leg extension to pre-exhaust for squats, you're more free to do that. Whereas the beginner and intermediate, I believe, should follow more of a progressive overload type system. Now, I also believe in not training like a pussy. So, if you're progressively overloading and you've hit 315 for 2 the week before, and you put 315 on and you get 4, and you can do 5 and 6 reps, by all means do it. And just set your goal higher for the next week. And the thing about progressive overload, we'll have bad days. We have bad days at work, bad days with family, bad days in relationships, bad days overall. You might not progressively overload one workout to the next. The goal is, over a 6 to 12 month period, you want to see the line go like this. You want to see progressive overload and growth of the muscle. So to summarize this video, I believe that beginners and intermediates should follow a progressive overload based system. I believe it is a must. An intermediate lifter is anywhere from 2 to 10 years of training. Okay, usually around 2 to 4, around 2 years per cycle, 2 years beginner, 2 years intermediate. At year 4 on, year 5, you're advanced in my opinion if you've been training for 5 years, or else you're not fucking grasping what weightlifting is all about. And in 5 years, if you gain 1 to 2 pounds a year, that's 10 pounds of good lean mass. So if you start at 180 and you're now 10 to 190 to 200 lean mass, just throwing numbers out there, you've done well, and your results, to be honest with you, will tend to plateau. That's when advanced lifters start throwing in funky shit to start initiating muscle growth. Like for me, I do drop sets, I do overloads, and that's another thing I'm gonna do a video on, drop sets. I've heard that they don't work. I heard my man Jerry Ward did a video on them not working. Me, I'm a little bit different. Jerry goes a lot by anecdote, and I believe science says drop sets don't mean shit unless whatever, and some people say it only works if you're on drugs. I'm a little bit different, but that's another video. Stay tuned for that, guys. I hope this helped you. Basically, beginner and intermediate, follow a progressive overload type plan for your first 1 to 2 exercises of the workout. After that, aim for 8 to 12 reps. And then, and obviously, work in that hypertrophy range. Whereas for an advanced lifter, do whatever the fuck you can to stay motivated in the gym. And if that's progressive overloading, so be it. And to keep fucking pushing the muscle. It's all about progressive overload, and that just doesn't mean weight and reps. That means intensity and a lot of other factors. I'm Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com, because making gains for years on end, that's not a game.